The managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, has given a positive outlook for the world economy. She says it's proven remarkably resilient to the multiple shocks of the last 3 years, but it is yet to overcome the combination of weak growth and sticky inflation.
Well, addressing the media at the World Bank IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C., Georgieva says underlying inflation remains the weakest medium-term forecast for decades, with an economic growth outlook of 3% over the next 5 years.
And at this point of time, our projections are for walking on this narrow path that avoids hard landing. But 2.8% global growth is not enough to bring opportunities to businesses and people around the world. And most worrisome is the projection for weak growth over a longer period of time. Why is that projection? Because productivity has been lagging. And let me remind us, this is what I talked about in 2019 in October when I first sat in front of you. Synchronized slowdown, low productivity, low growth, social unrest.
All right, let's cross live now to Washington, D.C. and speak to our Rise correspondent, Christian Ogodo. Christian, good to see you. Okay, is somebody enjoying the weather over there? All right, let's talk.
It's a bit warm anyway, I would say.
All right, so let's talk about the projections. Georgieva seems to have a positive outlook, for the global economy. But let me quote what she said. She's saying that high interest, piling pressure, inflation, and all of that, of course, at other fora. And she also pointed out that projections are for a weak growth for a much longer time because of lack of productivity. You want to speak to those points?
Yes, absolutely. Not parroting her, the press conference was, all-encompassing. First, about the fiscal and the monetary policies, which the IMF chief said is slowly returning to normal. And the IMF outlined those shockbacks or the setbacks, the shocks that, affected world economic growth together, even with the World Bank, which, of course, is not far from some of what Georgieva reeled out, including low productivity, issues of terrorism, unrest in most parts of the world, particularly in the developing world. And of course, the biggest of them, the Russian-Ukraine war, as well as climate change, which they say is already affecting food production in the world. And of course, you can see what is happening in the Horn of Africa, in Somalia, for example, where it took the United Nations Secretary General to fly into and made special appeals, for food supplies there, particularly at this time of Ramadan. Somalia is, populated by Muslims. But beyond that is the growth prediction for the next 5 years. That because of the COVID infraction in the last 3 years, growth has been slow. It's only gradually picking up. And another issue, again, why the fund has expect, economic growth to 3% in the next 5 years is that the advanced countries, who have been impacted with the issues of COVID, have overstretched their budgets and, their charity, if you want to say. So they are not lending much and they are not, giving to the poorer countries. But the IMF and the World Bank at these spring meetings are putting up concerted efforts to increase borrowings, lendings. Only today, they talked about the empowerment of women in entrepreneurship. When you look at the aggregates, not only in Africa, but world over, you'll find that the percentage of women in entrepreneurship and even in leadership position when it comes to business or businesses are very, very few. So how do they rejig this economic, downturn, or if you want to put it, lopsidedness in the world? They feel that through concerted education, health, development of healthcare, that all these, could be redressed, and growth for the next 5 years, although pegged at 3%, could increase beyond that. One other positive outlook from, coming out from this spring conference is the pass mark, more than pass mark given to Nigeria's economic masters. I mean, like the Central Bank of Nigeria, where the IMF commended very, very well the fiscal policy and monetary policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and says that it should continue to strengthen it. One, to bring down inflation. Two, to accelerate the productive sector of the economy. And the IMF, even said the growth, upped the growth for the country in 2023 and 2024, although pegging it at about 3.2, 3.3%. That's some good news. If the new government comes in and would want to kowtow the fiscal and monetary policy of the CBN today, then the outlook will be more than positive, according to IMF projections.
Well, we'd like to thank you for your time, quite a detailed one, Christian Ogodo. We hope to catch up with you pretty much later here on the show.